Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us for the third workshop in Sinclair College's Digital Thread Initiative Digital Tapestry Series. Thank you for joining us both in person and virtually. And we're here to hear Professor Paul Hansford talk about decoding data literacy. And we want to reference him because if you got to hear our podcast episode that launched last week, we referred to him as the inspiration for this whole digital data focus for December. And that's because Elizabeth and I are constantly learning. We don't come from a manufacturing background, and we were actually using digital and data literacy interchangeably. And Paul pointed out to us that we were so wrong. So we've been educated. And now we have a podcast that's launched on digital literacy, and Paul is going to talk to us today about data literacy. And it's going to be an interactive, I think, to some degree, presentation. So please feel free to play along as he asks you to, but there will be time for Q&A near the end of his presentation. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth to introduce Paul.
Thank you, Jennifer. So Paul Hansford is a full-time faculty member in Computer Science and Information Technology at Sinclair Community College. He has a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and a Master of Science in Information Systems. He has over 20 years of experience in information technology as a practitioner with CRM software. He's the point person here for academic data analytics programs and works to spread data literacy and analytic certificates across the campus with several grants from the National Science Foundation, including in-progress grants in supply chain logistics, mentoring big data pathways, enhancing IT, and additional new grants focused on high school pathways and Industry 4.0. So we're very excited that you're here today. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for having me here today. And thanks for you all who could join online. I'm going to try to make this as fast and as entertaining as possible. So let's go ahead and get started. So just expectations, it'll be kind of slow at the beginning, and then it will kind of speed up, but you will need to Google. So make sure that you have your phone ready when it's appropriate. Just a few things. Yeah, we'll try to keep it kind of a medium pace. It can be interactive along the way. If you have questions that you're thinking about, you can either write them down or put them in chat, and we'll catch them, or just shout them out. That's fine. So I will have intentions of sharing this presentation with Jennifer and Elizabeth and Greg over at the Digital Threads Initiative. And we'll try to make it so we can learn together. So there may be some things that I'm not in tune with that certainly share with me. So we'll just hit talking about data. So it's going to be all about data today. We'll look at what maybe you need to prepare yourself or your business for data deluge that's happening. And maybe you're already in the midst of it already. What are the basic definitions of data literacy? How is that different than analytics? How is that different than data science, for example? And then what data skills are changing? IT is one of those areas where you can't sit still, right? So it's constantly changing. And then what should we tell our kids? Maybe you have young people, maybe grandchildren or children in your life, and maybe it's you that you're trying to inform. What do you need to do to take next steps? So let's get started. We'll take a 30,000-foot view of data literacy, a little bit different than digital literacy. Digital literacy is basic computer skills. Data literacy is how to take that data and do things with it. And we'll touch on data literacy mostly. And then we don't have enough time to solve all the world's problems in 1 hour. There's always more things that we could talk about, and maybe we can take them offline. That's fine. And just a small commercial for Sinclair, a little bit at the beginning for Sinclair Data, the Data Literacy Initiative, the Digital Literacy Initiative. And then I will try not to assume anything in terms of like maybe starting points. Okay, so the Digital Thread Initiative, I totally messed that up, but they'll correct that in the magic of editing. So they'll take my words and turn Digital Thread Initiative into the words that I meant to say. So thank you very much. So I'd like to thank Greg and Jennifer and Elizabeth for inviting me to talk about data. I appreciate that very much. There's some workforce programs that are coming up with the Digital Tapestry series. And just go ahead and feel free to look at the screen really quickly and catch some of the things that are happening. And there's a lot happening from here all the way till summertime. And get involved in as many activities as you can. And all of them will be recorded and be put online for your convenience to help you continue your education. So Sinclair Community College was started by David A. Sinclair in 135 years ago. And there was an informal motto that we have around here. It's find the need and endeavor to meet it. And that has not changed. And I think that that's probably why Sinclair is so innovative in its nature. It just is baked into the DNA of our college. And so that continues even now. So a little bit about me. I'm an associate professor here in the CS and IT department, about 20 years in business technology areas. And so I've been dealing in data ever since I started way back in college, and every role that I've had ever since then has touched data. And maybe that's the case for you too, just because of the nature of the world that we live in. So here's the news. Maybe you've seen headlines like this before, and all of these headlines are not anything new. And we remember when IBM, cognitive computing, I think it was, what was it called at that time? IBM Watson beat Ken Jennings. And maybe you remember when Target knew the 16-year-old young lady was in the family way before her father did, and that story's online. And these are all stories about data. And so Moneyball, when a baseball team hired a statistician, and they used that to beat all the other players, and it was a competitive edge, right? So data can be a competitive edge. And so we're entering a new world in which data may be more important than software. And sometimes I say that in a classroom, and people will say, no, software is more important than data. And I will try to make the case today for data being more important than software. Maybe you don't know who Tim O'Reilly is, but he's the head of O'Reilly Publishing and Media. And there's a lot of books and conferences, and he does futurist talks and things like that. You can read about him online. And he said this a few years ago, and it totally caught my attention back in 2017. And I think he's right. I mean, I can't wrap my head around this, but data is everywhere. And so I heard that 2.5 quintillion bytes of data is created every day, and it's probably more than what we can count. And what does that mean? So this slide says that means that if you take pennies and you wrap it around the earth, it would go around the earth 5 times. That just, I can't really fathom that, right? And so let's look at how that is laid out in maybe Internet of Things or Industry 4.0. And you look at all these convergent areas. And so we have cybersecurity, cloud, mobile, 3D printing, and you combine them together and you get an Internet of Things. So all these different technologies, all digital, all data technologies converging together and combined are allowing us to do things that we've never been able to do before in any time of history. And so just look at the data that's in our lives. How many of you are wearing some sort of smart watch? So is that an Apple Watch, or is that a Samsung, or
Nokia?
A Nokia watch? And so we have this ring up here, and so people are using that for monitoring their health data, and people are using Apple Watches and Garmin and Nokia and Samsung to connect them to their phones and checking their steps every day, monitoring their sleep and their heart and different things. And so that's data in our lives, and this is for health management. You know, maybe you're getting ready to buy your last minute Christmas gifts, and I think today is the last day that you can order it and be confirmed that it will arrive before Christmas. So get your orders in there. And so this is all about data. You know, Amazon, and maybe you're shopping Walmart or Target. I say Target, that French company. And so social media, and you look at all the social media platforms that are out there. Here's about the top 15 or so as of 2022, and that's changing There's new social media that's coming on the scene. There's some that are increasing, some that are decreasing, and so forth. But just think about all the hundreds, millions, billions of users that are on these different apps, and all the clicks, the likes, the swipes, and all the data that's being generated from that. We won't talk about data privacy and all that data being bought and sold like water, but that's for a discussion for a different day. And maybe you're thinking about gas prices, and so what do you do when you're looking to purchase gas when you need it? You might go online and you'll check Gas Buddy or some tool like that to find out where is the nearest gas station with the best price. Or maybe you do like Sam's Club or Costco or Kroger's, and you have points, and you try to redeem those points to save money. And so that's the things that we're doing, is we're analyzing and we're looking to save money, and it's all about data, right? So the weather data, and so it is Wednesday, December the 14th, 2022 today, and it is 75 degrees and bright and sunny here in the Miami Valley. And it's bright and sunny every day in the Miami Valley. But here's the weather from a site called WeWow. And I used this when I traveled to Europe this summer. Fantastic application for the web. And it gives lots of visualizations. And it's all about data. It helps you to determine what you're going to wear for the day, and how your day might shape up, whether you need to wear mittens or if you're wearing shorts in the summer. So it's all about data, right? So let's play a quick game, and it's going to be easy at the beginning. You will need to Google at some point in time, and we'll see who's faster. So then at some point in time, you could just call out what you think the answer is if you know it, but not yet, okay? So it's going to be easy at first. So it's one bit is a binary digit. Nobody's going to challenge me on that. So it's a binary. It's binary digit. So I'm just trying to start a movement in the Midwest, calling it binary, and then they'll say, oh, it's a Midwest thing. There's so many things that were started in Dayton. Why not, changing what we call binary? And so binary is something that we've been dealing with for years, and maybe you can even add and subtract in binary and multiply. There's a T-shirt that says there are 1-0 type of people in this world: those who understand binary and those who don't. So what does the 1-0 stand for? Anybody? 2. All right, so we got one binary person here, so that's awesome. We're going to count on you today, okay? So be prepared. So 8 bits is a byte, 100 bytes is a centibyte, 1,024 bytes is a kilobyte. And that used to be those 5 1/4 floppy drives that we used to have years and years ago, but nobody uses anything like that. That data is almost so small, it's barely even a file, right? So then we get a little bit bigger. So we talk about megabytes, and megabytes to gigabytes, and gigabytes to a terabyte. And so here's one that you can Google. If somebody could go out there really quick on Amazon or Google or whatever and tell me how much is a terabyte of a Western Digital drive or something equivalent to that, a USB Western Digital drive. How much is a terabyte right now? What's it going for? I have a good idea in my mind, but it fluctuates a little bit. We'll see who gets that answer first. And just the range is fine. And the machines are clicking here, and people are thumb typing, and
50 bucks.
50 to 70. Is that what I heard? Okay, so that's good. So for $50, $60, something like that, give or take where you buy it from, you can put a whole terabyte of data and stick it into your front pocket. If you have that's amazing that we can do that today. And so what comes next? And so there are 1-0 type of people in this world: those who understand binary and those who have friends. That's not true. You can understand binary and still have friends. So, we're all in a digital world now. But 1,000 terabytes equals a petabyte. And then 1,000 petabytes approximately is an exabyte, and 1,000 exabyte is a zettabyte. So here's where we need to Google what comes after zettabyte. See who can get that first.
Kilobyte.
Not a kilobyte. No, that would be going backwards. I like the way you're thinking, but This one would be really hard to guess if you didn't already know it. And sometimes I have students and they have that answer already because what is it? A yottabyte. Okay, I heard it. A yottabyte. And so how big is a yottabyte exactly? And so that's a lot of data. I prefer calling it a Yoda byte because that sounds more like Star Wars, and that is just, that's just up my alley. So, and so, it is one Yoda byte is 1 septillion bytes. Okay, so that's a lot of data. I have some homework for you. So you would need a data center as big as the states of Rhode Island and Delaware. And this was a slide back from 2008, and let you know how long I've been doing some of this. And let's just talk about this up at the top. Up at the top, we have a terabyte, and it says you can put 200,000 pictures on a drive, and so we can relate to that. You can stick pictures and music and things of that nature. And then it says a petabyte will fit on 16 back-glazed storage pods racked in a data center cabinet. I don't even know what that means. But I've heard that you can take a whole petabyte and put your life on video and it would fit on a petabyte. That is a lot of data. That's mind-boggling to me. An exabyte is 2,000 of those cabinets filling a 4-story data center of a whole city block. And then if you scale that up, a zettabyte is 1,000 of those data centers filling about 20% of Manhattan, New York. That's a lot. And so scaling it up, we now have a yottabyte would fill the states of Delaware and Rhode Island with data centers, and that's a yottabyte of data. So a yottabyte is a lot of data, right? So here's your homework assignment. I would like for you to, when you're buying those last minute Christmas gifts, right? And maybe you're buying something techie. If you're not buying it on Amazon or something like that, you want to see it, feel it, or buy it last minute. Go to Best Buy and go up to the desk where the Geek Squad would be. And I want you to ask them for a yottabyte drive, okay? And if they start walking you to the shelves, they have no idea what they're talking about, okay? They have no idea. But if they smile and laugh, then there's a good idea that they might be a technologist, right? A true technologist. But if you're looking at the cost of this in 2008 terms, and you're looking at the GDP, United States was 14 trillion at the time, 18 trillion for the European Union. And at that time, it was 61 trillion for the world GDP. And a yottabyte drive at that time would have been $100 trillion. Since that was 2008, the cost of storage has come down. And that was so 2008. This is so 2022. So I think that it's probably right around 20 trillion now. And that's a bargain. So if you can pick up that yottabyte drive at Best Buy, just make sure that you have your Platinum, American Express to be able to purchase that unlimited, that yottabyte drive. Okay, so let's move on. So that's a lot of data, but yet there's more. There are two kinds of people in this world, those who can extrapolate from incomplete data and those who cannot. So you might be a data analyst if you just completed that in your mind. If you didn't, then there's hope for you. Well, we can still teach you. So a yottabyte, and then it goes to brontios byte and geos byte and epic byte. And so next year it's predicted, or in a couple of years it's predicted that somewhere between 163 zettabytes of information worldwide. And it depends on who you ask, Gartner, IDC, or Forrester, or whatever. It varies just a little bit, but there's more. And so it just keeps on going. And so here is that data that we just talked about to scale, starting with a terabyte to petabyte to exabyte. And each time we're multiplying it by 1,000 and looking at the scale of it so you can kind of get an idea. But let's just look at the internet for a minute. The internet data is growing at alarming rates. And this is so 2016. Just look for a minute at, for example, Amazon. $203,000 and some change in a minute in sales. Just think of how much money that they would lose if Amazon was down for just even a day. That's just unbelievable, the mindset there. Do you see anything up there that's gone? I say this in front of college students and they instantly point out what's no longer. See if you can figure it out. Are you smarter than a college student? Vine is gone for sure. Yes. Okay. So let's keep going. Here's another look at what happens to the internet in a minute. Some of these are also a little bit antiquated. So let's just keep going. Here's some of the big data statistics that are kind of alarming to me if you catch some of the highlights there. The one that I just highlighted was something that is just amazing to me, where it says that 90% of the world's data was created in the last 2 years. Just getting a sense of the scale and how it's growing. Some of the other statistics are certainly interesting as well. In 2012, only 0.5% of all data was analyzed. And so there's a lot of data that's not being harnessed yet completely. And so just looking at the internet in a minute, and maybe you see some of your favorite apps here, and just which one's your favorite? Anybody got a favorite? No favorites yet?
Spotify.
Spotify for your music. Okay. Any other favorites? All right. Weather, the weather apps. Okay. All right. Any other favorites? All right. Google. Google's your favorite? And so this is a little bit more updated. It's 2021. What changed from that first slide to now? What's there that wasn't there before? Do you see? What is it?
TikTok.
TikTok is there now. Okay. Zoom and Teams and all those online meetings that we're even doing now are there now. And so all this growing data is certainly creating a problem. The problem is how to store this data, collect this data, analyze this data, and do something with it. And so because of this data and this volume keeps on growing, it's creating a people problem, right? And so we don't have enough people that are talented to be able to do some of these things. And so there's a shortage. That's true. And it's creating an opportunity as well. For the most part, some of these larger social media companies have the storage part more under control, but they are still in need of people to know how to manage and what to do and help make decisions with this kind of data. And so this is when you know that you're really committed to your profession, that you are, this is a true data pro here. And so I said that once at a college where I was giving a presentation, and somebody came up to me afterwards and was telling me about what they called a stat tat. And I had not heard of that one before. And so, and then they showed me that it was a formula for statistics that they had put on their shoulder. So they were really, really committed to their profession. And so here's what it looks like in Dilbert. And I don't know where Scott Adam gets all of his amazing ideas, but he's always ahead of time. And so it's the consultants say there's 3 quintillion data bytes every day created, whereas who knows where it all comes from? According to the book of Wikipedia, it is called big data. And so the big data lives in the cloud, and that's what we do. The company did, in the past, our company did many evil things, but if we accept the big data into our servers, it will save us from bankruptcy. Let us pray. And so Gilbert says, is it too late to side with evil? Shh, it hears you. And so big data. And so big data was so 2012, of course. And so it was predicted way back in 2018, or I'm sorry, in 2012 for 2018 by one of the big consulting companies, that there would be a need for somewhere between 140 and 190,000 IT data analysts, data scientists, and amazing to me, here's a little bit more details on what that report looked like. And so I just kind of highlighted in the middle their need for that many people. And then I received an email in 2018, back in August. And this is what it said. It said, there is a need for 151,000 people who have skills in data analytics. And I was like, that's amazing. So they predicted it. They were spot on. They hit it kind of towards the low end, but right in the middle. So there's a great need, and that need is still there. That was pre-pandemic, but that has not changed much. If anything, it's probably accelerated. And so maybe you're thinking right now, I don't really know what's going on, but it sounds like data plus skills equals a big bag of money. That's probably true. And so here's a stat that just came at me not too long ago. It said professionals with SQL skills get paid 40% more. So take database classes, get skilled up in data, right? So no question mark there. 82% of employers now expect data skills from their employees. The world is shifting. The world is changing. There's a report that just came out not that long ago in the spring that said that we have this great resignation happening, and one of the ways to kind of counteract that is to help people get skilled up in digital skills, and an advanced digital skill and data would be something that would help fill that need. So data literacy is the new buzz, and data is not going away, it's growing. Here's what the Ocean of Data Institute says about data and its sister company, EDC. Back in 2000, I want to say 15 or 16, they brought together a team of experts from all over the United States and in conjunction with IBM, and they came up with this convoluted definition. It's a good definition. It's just too complex for me. I like simple. And so here's a couple more simplified definitions. And then I take the simple and let's go with this bottom definition. It's very close to what Ben Jones has, but the ability to read, work with, analyze, and argue or communicate with data. And so here it is. Here's the data rule. Data literacy is the ability to read, write, communicate, and reason with data. It's no longer an option, but it's fundamental for this day and age that we live. And so hopefully you kind of caught that from all the growing data that we just saw. So the landscape is changing, that's for sure. Nothing new there. I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. First, the good news is that, I guess this is bad news. Robots are taking over your jobs. That's the bad news. The good news is that we're hiring robot repair technicians. The bad news is that we're working on robots that repair robots, and then we don't anticipate any other further good news after that. Is that where Skynet happens and the robots take over that everybody's afraid of, with AI and analytics and things like that? So adaptation. So we have to change, right? So I'm going to build out this slide really quickly, and just give me a second to click. I'm going to be click happy for just a minute. There we go. And so we have over on the left-hand side, we have looking in the rear view window, and a lot of companies have been doing this for years. There's nothing new here. Alerts, dashboards, scoreboards, and things like that, helping us to understand something that happened in the past, and then kind of pivoting in that middle transitional area, and then looking ahead. Trying to predict the future, trying to optimize the future, and that would be a little bit more on the side of data science. And so data literacy is the foundation for both data analytics and data science. They are very closely related, and there's probably even some crossover between what we would call data analytics and data science for how people can be skilled. And you have to get started somewhere. And so some people will say data science is the intersection of computer science, programming, math, and in particular, probably more statistics, in some sort of business domain area, an area in which you have a layer of expertise. And I will go with that. That seems reasonable. Some people think the math looks like this. That looks complicated. But just looking into the future, if I were, this is a part of what I would tell those of maybe younger than myself, if I could start all over again, I would make sure that I was looking at what was in decline, and this is things that can be taken over, things that can be automated, things that are possibly in trouble, right? We know that things can be automated, and a lot of things are. I heard a statistic yesterday that said by the end of 2016 that like something like 60% of the content that will be generated online will be done so with some sort of AI type of textual generation. And that's been going on for years. They've been doing that in financial areas where they're writing things that go online for forecasting for a long time. And it's not just good, it's darn near perfect. And recently, there's even been chatbots that can help you generate text and things like that, pictures, online. And so look at the top emerging data analysts and scientists, AI, machine learning, general operations managers, software application developers and analysts, sales and marketing, big data specialists, digital transformation specialists, new technology specialists, organizational development specialists, and information technology specialists. Of those 10 or so, look at how many of them, they're not all, but a large portion of them are technology related, and they're changing. They're not sitting still. And so here is a Boston consulting group, a big consulting group on the East Coast. And they created an index of areas, job roles, et cetera, that were changing rapidly. Look at how many of them are IT, and look at how much that they're changing. This index, the higher the number, the more change. Very interesting to me at how much of those are data related. So I'll pause for a second so you can get a chance to glance at that. Got it? Here are the top 50 jobs from Glassdoor. And I just showed you the top 15. You can catch the link online. This search top 50 jobs, Glassdoor, and top 50 jobs in America in Glassdoor, and you will catch this one. Look at how many of these are IT and technology related. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. Next, so just in data science in particular, it's expected to grow 36% annually for the foreseeable future. So that is that's good news if you're skilled up. These jobs can start 140,000 plus, and they just go up from there. You know, it's not unreasonable that it could be $200,000 to $300,000 if you get started. So let's look at the trends just a little bit. More things that you can tell your children and grandchildren. And so things are evolving. You know, this should not be new if you are into technology, if you're in the business world. These are not new concepts at this point. It's becoming in the past more US centric to more global. And so our solutions, we put them online, and everybody in the world can now participate in those applications like social media. Hardware is moving more to software, certainly. Analog to digital, really. Client server to cloud, everything's in the cloud now. Data reporting, this is looking back a little bit more to data science, but these are still emerging areas. Products or solutions and human interactions are moving to AI and machine learning. And we have an AI and machine learning expert here today with us as well. So he just nodded his head, so you couldn't see that. But that does not mean that humans and their work is going away. What that probably means is that it puts humans at the center of our needs, and those skilled individuals will be elevated and not replaced. Education is changing and evolving, and I'll just note those changes. I won't go over each and every one of them, but each of them could probably be an hour-long talk, right? We know that the landscape for almost every industry is shifting and changing and is ripe for what we would call disruption. So here's a stack, and this is the challenge for those of us who are in education, creating kind of on-ramps or entry places, maybe in courses, short courses, or digital badges and things of that nature, moving up into certificates and moving up into what we would call an associate's degree. We have them here at Sinclair and other places in the area. And then maybe a postgraduate certificate degree. I am working on high school pathways right now and the associate's degrees right now. And then my next adventure, if everything goes according to plan, and you know how that goes, nobody can predict the future, would be to bridge that gap way between associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees to help people to segue into their master's and PhD if they choose to do so. With that, there's plenty of roles that are sitting in that middle skilled area. And we would call that more data analytics. What are the skill sets that needed for something like that? Getting started would be like taking the Excel and then applying some of the advanced learning that's in Excel that you can use to massage and sort and arrange data, turn that data into visualizations, helping people to make sense, take action with that as well. Database and SQL, one of the top skills that's out there for tech, along with software engineering. So we can't leave the software people out. They get cranky when you do that. And then programming and Python and R, of course, there's your programmers. And then advanced applications that are automating. Tableau comes to mind. Power BI comes to mind. And there's a whole host of other applications in that data visualization category. And then maybe more in the advanced automation or larger companies would be your SaaS. Then looking at things like Nime and Alteryx and Blue Prism, which are low code or no code automation tools. Some people will call it hyper automation. That's where everybody's afraid that their job will go away because of all these hyper automation type of tool sets that are out there. Be afraid, be very afraid. And so statistics, so math people rule, who knew that, way back when that math people would rule the world today. Having the business skills. So I think that more business people need to beef up their technology skills, and more technology people need to be able to talk the language of business. And so all those things are true, and that's not going away. So problem solving with data, making sure that we do it ethically, and what that does is it enhances important employability, soft skills, durability skills with communication and problem solving, working together, and things like that. So data is everywhere, and it's growing. Hopefully, I've convinced you of that. Data skills are certainly in high demand in these high growth areas, not going away. Data decision is changing. So we're looking at the data. We're not just doing it from our business experience, but we're looking at indices. We're looking at our experience. We're combining those things together, and we're coming up with smarter ways to do old things. And it's a really, really good time to take action. And if I were a young person and I were watching this video, or maybe I was an old person and I was watching this video, and you were looking to shift and change, look no further than data, right? And so data analytics here at Sinclair. And so binary Sudoku, anybody? 1 0 0 1, and you are done there. Okay, so here's what that looks like a little bit at Sinclair. And so we have an associate's degree. We have a 1-year certificate. That might be for more the traditional person that's looking to shift, gain skills. And then there is a whole host of domain-specific short-term certificates. And we're hoping to add more as time goes by. We've already done some things with UAS analytics, geoanalytics, I think bioinformatics, maybe accounting analytics. All these things are shifting and changing. Marketing analytics, you are counting, changing, doing things with analytics. We have data programs here at Sinclair. Down at the bottom, that's the one that's really, really fresh. That one is designed for that pathway from high school into college. And we're looking to take some of the classes that we built over the years, move them down into those dual credit, dual enrollment type of opportunities. Here in our geographic area, that's called Tech Prep and CCP here in Ohio. It may be different in another state, but the idea is dual credit enrollment and then finishing that certificate in college and parlaying that into an additional certificate or moving into an associate's degree. And I'm happy to say that some of our early pilots are changing the way that some young people were thinking about this, and yet there's more work to be done. So here's what it might look like, just kind of reiterating the skills and showcasing some of our data here. And we have classes that we're launching that are fresh. So there will be an intro to data literacy that will be launching this spring as a pilot. And we have 5 teachers already signed up for it because they want to learn how to do this so that they can begin teaching their students how to do it as well. And I'm absolutely excited about that, as well as we're adding some math offerings. Like there are some math courses that are already in place for advanced math with R, and this is more of an entry level math stats class with R. We already have data viz, we already have Python 1 and 2. We're piloting an advanced Python course as well, if you want to know more information about that. And I will pause for questions. I know that that was kind of a fast-paced, hit it hard kind of a pace, but so questions, and maybe there may be questions on chat. And if there are, Elizabeth, just kind of toss them out. You just feel free to shout out a question if you have one. Questions, thoughts, anything surprise you? Go ahead, Elizabeth, with a question online.
No questions online yet, but Jennifer and I are producing a podcast.
All right.
And the one thing that we ask everyone is, what keeps you up at night?
So the question, just repeating it to make sure that it caught it on the microphone, is what keeps you up at night? And so a podcast is being produced by that. So if you could feed that information into Elizabeth and Jennifer, we would greatly appreciate that. And if there's no further questions, oh wait, there's a question.
It's not quite a
question, more of a comment. Okay, we'll take comments too.
The comments safe. So I cringed a little bit when you said the I forget how you phrased it, the human and human interaction to being replaced by.
Not being replaced by, is shifting towards.
Okay.
But so right now, I believe that they're saying the best solutions are humans working side by side with automated processes. And the automated processes are really like, with that great resignation, and there was a huge need for people, it was driving automation. So if you don't have people to do the work and you can replicate processes with what we call hyper automation or whatever, low code or no code apps, it is taking the people out of some of the processes that we have in place today. No surprise when you see Google or Amazon go to like a one click. It was 10 steps. Now let's make it 1 step. Well, how do we turn that into, no steps, that kind of thing. So
yeah, it's totally a human autonomous teaming sort of thing. It sort of represent the joint cognitive system between the human and the machine, and see how you can work better together. From my perspective, it's really about helping the human solve those higher quality problems rather than being replaced by or shifting towards
absolutely
teaming.
And just another one that just came to mind was like medicine. You don't want an algorithm to diagnose and tell you that you need surgery, right? You still want a doctor, but you do want the lab results. He wants to know the medical history, and you want to know like what your symptoms are, and what brings you here today. And you want that to be side by side with the doctor and maybe his deep learning and education to make an intelligent decision. So there's an example where you would have automated systems side by side, but I think that the doctor's recommendation and experience should still trump maybe those data models and systems, at least in the foreseeable future. I want the doctor's opinion to matter a whole lot, right? When it comes to your health. There's probably hundreds of examples like that in different parts of every industry. So great comment. Thank you for that. Any other comments, thoughts?
We have a friend who just had a knee replacement, and he was scheduled for surgery night before, The night before, they called in and said, sorry, we're gonna have to move your surgery because the robot is broken.
The robot is broken. When the robot does the surgery, now you're dependent upon the equipment to have that surgery, right? And so that's interesting. And so a lot of surgeries are moving to robotic equipment for the like heart surgeries and knee surgeries and things of that nature.
It's still good to have the doctor.
Still good to have the doctor. I still want the doctor's hand guiding that, right?
Joint replacement robot, joint replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, a robot repair technician. So far, we still need those robot repair technicians as well. So that's good news for those that are in robotics. Your skills are hot. They're like highly desired at this point. With that, I will thank you all for joining us for the presentation today. And I will stick around as long as I need to. And feel free to reach out, and I'll go back to the slide with my email. And that is my Google phone. So you can text me 24/7, 365. I just don't answer when I'm sleeping. So thank you all for being here today. Have a great day.